Zach with Web3 Reviews. Thank you for being with us. Today it is Friday, March 21st, and we're going to be talking about the crypto market. Let's go. Remember that none of this is financial advice. Yesterday it was classic. We got a fake out. They're calling it a hack. We had both BitTrue and the Watcher.Guru. Just in, Swift is nearing an agreement with Ripple to use XRP for cross-border payments, with billions of XRP secured in escrow as liquidity reserves. People were naturally hyped. We had Alex Cobb talking about this. We had all these folks talking about this. And then it was quickly put away that it was fake, and apparently these guys deleted the posts. BitTrue said the damn near same thing, and apparently this was posted on Facebook too from Watcher.Guru. So somebody says, the Jay Nelson way says, how did both Facebook and X get hacked simultaneously? Seems fishy, also quite the recovery. Doesn't add up. You had BitTrue in there too. BitTrue was hacked too. So all three of these accounts were just hacked. Okay. You know, like the digital asset investor would say, if you believe that, he's got an igloo for you in Alabama to sell you. I always thought that was a funny little metaphor. And it's true because there's so many things in this world that are just unbelievable, man. Yeah, there's a lot of things in this life and in this industry that you'd have to just be a firm believer to not question yourself about what's going on. So we see some of these posts from Sailor. Bitcoin is an orange dwarf, the brightest object in the financial system, growing stronger, hotter, and denser as it attracts capital. Bitcoin is a digital energy network. You know, I don't think Bitcoin is the best, okay? I don't think it is. And I think that you'd have to kind of believe your own bullshit in order to start believing that it is. There's a lot of stuff wrong with it. And that's why XRP was created. It was the second crypto ever created. And it was created by some early Bitcoin devs. It's been said over and over by Ripple that the guys who created the XRPL were some of the early Bitcoin devs. Now believe that if you want to or not. I don't care. I believe it. Yeah, so there's two sides of this story, huh? You could believe that Bitcoin is an orange dwarf, or you could believe that some of the XRP devs were Bitcoin devs. You know, whatever you want to believe. But do you think that Bitcoin's going to have the same run that it did over the last 16 years? That's my question for you. And if not, why are you holding for it? Why are you being tribalistic if you don't think it's going to do what it did over the last 16 years? So everything's down from the local top yesterday. We're ranging. We're in this range. Bitcoin was up to 85.6. XRP was up to $2.54. We're in a range, okay? When you're in a range, you just got to kind of chill out. We don't know what's going to happen. I don't think that we've hit a bear market. I don't think that we're going to falling sword from here. But I've been wrong before. You know, the past two cycles I was wrong. I bought the falling sword of 2017, 2018. And I thought for sure the market would just keep going. Those were my first buys in crypto. And then last cycle, I specifically remember my cousin texting me saying, hey, I think we're in a bear market. I was like, no way. XRP hasn't gone on to hit its all-time high yet. We had, of course, gone to 180, been sued by the SEC, and then started the falling sword. It's a rough go out there in crypto sometimes because you just don't know what's going to happen. Are we in a 4-year cycle? Are we in a super cycle? Which is going to supersede the 4-year cycles, which is going to set the precedent and show that the 4-year cycle theory was all just that, a theory. It's tough to know, man. It is. It's tough to know. I'm happy to be here playing, and that's kind of the thing is that you have to embrace the unknown. It's easy to be somebody who's upset. It's easy to be somebody who's a shit talker about networks. FLR and Algorand, they catch a lot of slack. Ethereum 1942. Fight at that 2K mark. Let's go, ETH. Come on. Vitalik's got to get out there. Help these guys break through 2K, you know? I'd love to see some more Vitalik badger dancing videos. We haven't seen or heard from Vitalik in so long, man. What's he up to? When's the last time Vitalik did or said anything noteworthy that really made the rounds? Somebody fill me in. Let me know what I'm missing. FLR still sitting at that all-time low. 1.4 pennies. FLR's catching a lot of fun online because people are fed up with the amount of time it's taken for us to get the use case to come out. Things take time. Not everything's overnight, especially when the use case is getting moved. When you come into something thinking you're going to do A, but it turns out you're going to do C. And you got to go through why A is not going to work. You got to attempt B. B is not going to work. And then you got to get to C. Each one requires planning. It requires development time. There's UI that needs to be built. And then you have to roll it out to the public. You have to test it and make sure it works. Make sure there's no security errors. It should go on Songbird first. Think about that. So how many times has FLR switched what the use case was going to be? We went from being layer cake to being F assets to being data. You know, there's a lot of things going on at FLR. And now we've heard that F assets aren't even going to be a top 10 use case on FLR. That's what Hugo said a little while back. If that's the case, I want to see what the other 10 are. And I don't want to just hear data because that's pretty vague. I'm not flooding my bags either. I'm just being honest about why others are. There's a lot of talk going on, which is good. You know, we'd rather have talk from Hugo than radio silence. When the FLR team goes radio silent and nobody says anything and we don't get any development or any progress, then we'll know there's a problem to be had. ALGO broke above 0.2 just so briefly yesterday. Now we're back down to 18.79 pennies. So yesterday was a fake out in every sense. Bitcoin was breaking up. XRP was breaking up. Algo broke 2 cents. ETH broke 2,000. And what happens? We get a fake tweet or we get a hack. How'd you get hacked, dog? You don't got 2FA on? Was it the interns gone wild? You got the same people running the social media accounts, maybe? I don't know how you're doing these things. Maybe it was coordinated. This is a way to add into this little bull trap, if you will. I mean, I don't know what to call it. I think we're going to keep going up. I think that this is a bear trap right here. We just get rejected from a local top, and now we're going to continue ranging. Yeah, we got rejected from the local top, and we're going to continue ranging. There was some news that came out, which may or may not be true. Just because the news came out prematurely doesn't mean it's not true. We've been talking about XRP being integrated into Swift for a long time. As an XRP holder, that's been the end goal. You weren't holding just for $3 XRP to break the previous all-time high. You were holding for the day that XRP was used to help Swift. And then it was going to be a $100 to a $10,000 token. Maybe it'd be worth $589. Okay? Can't call it. Algorand's catching a lot of shit online too. People are upset at the token price. You know, it used to be better. If you look at the token price, you could have bought Algorand anywhere from $3 down to here, and you'd be pissed off, right? It's the same thing as buying Gala music or buying OSMI or buying Gala token. Whenever you buy the top, you end up upset. It's hard to not be upset when you buy the top or when you feel like you've been slighted. What I'm here to tell you is you haven't been slighted at all, except for by your own mind. Because your own mind told you to buy the FOMO in the top. You should have just waited it out. And you probably put in too big of an order than you can stomach. Dollar cost average. Play with $20, play with $50. No one's saying you have to get all 30,000 Algorand and start your node today. It should take time to get there. Because that's when you'll really appreciate that bag. When you grind it up for it. There's some sweat and blood equity put into that node. You're not just going to turn around and turn off your node and sell your assets because you're angry at the network. You've put in years of time allocating assets to get that bag. No, you're going to let it do its thing. You're going to give it some patience. You're going to give it some leeway because you don't know what's going to happen out here. All right? You don't know. At any point, something's fate could change. I used to be in on the Dent network. For years, I thought the Dent network was dead. And then all of a sudden, people were talking about it, and it had a chance. I used to be in on the Helium network. And you know what? I still am. But I never really deployed that much capital into the token. What I did was I bought 2 of their mining machines, which were like $550 a piece. So I put in $1,100. And I don't think I've ever even mined the amount to get my money back. I think I've got like $500, $600 in Helium. And then they started mining something else called IoT. And they moved the network from the Helium network over to Solana. And occasionally I look at it. I don't own any Sol. It'll tell me something like, hey, you need some Sol in order to even mint this IoT. The IoT isn't worth much. So it's just what we hear about other node projects. Your asset has to be worth something. It doesn't matter if you're mining this invisible asset that's worth very small amounts. If the asset's worth something and you're mining a tiny bit of it, okay, it's like Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin's worth 85K, and when you mine it, you get a minuscule part, but it makes you feel better than if Bitcoin was worth nothing and you were getting a ton of Bitcoin. And we saw that for 10 years. We saw people selling their Bitcoin because they thought it was a nothing burger. We saw Bitcoin pizzas happen. You don't want to be that guy. In the future, there's going to be somebody who is that guy. For XRP, for Algorand, for Gala, for FLR. These assets are going to do really well. They're going to be here in 5 to 10 years, and you're going to look back at yourself and you're going to say, holy shit, man, I should be so much richer than I am now. And yeah, I'm rich because I have everything I need, and compared to the person in the third world country, I'm just complaining about first world problems. But yeah, we have to make the most of our hand. We were dealt a card of hands, and you have to make the most of it. You know, I was reading Machiavelli, the Prince. Machiavelli said that a man with great virtue but no cunning is actually weak. You have to be able to act on your moves. You see something that's a great opportunity, you don't just forget about it and say, well, someone else is going to make that. It's time for you, bucko. Put your own oxygen mask on first. Okay, you're on that airplane, the airplane's going down. You can't take care of anyone around you if you pass out. So put your own oxygen mask on first. Be cunning. Have some virtue. Look for things that are virtuous in this crypto market. What makes sense to you? I'm here talking about what makes sense to me. I like XRP. I like Algorand. I like Gala Games. I like FLR. I like the VOI network. I like Songbird. I like Gala Music. I like Gala Film. I like all these places. And most of my money is in XRP in terms of the amount that I have allocated to these assets. And I think that's a safe bet. But when you're dealing with the lower cap assets, you don't need as much allocated to it to get a big boom. If you catch a times 1,000 on a VOI network, you catch a times 1,000 on a Songbird, I mean, all you need is a few $100 in there, okay? 100 times 100 is 10K, my friend. So if you put 100 in and you catch a 1,000, come on. You're looking at 100,000. You have to be in an asset that you can withdraw it. Let's say you catch that times 100 and then you're able to withdraw, but you can only sell for whatever liquidity is available. You can't get all your money out because you're some shit meme coin. You round tripped and you feel like an idiot. All right, yeah, I guess you're a funny story now online. Ooh, you're on the team, rah rah. Now you can have a jersey. I round tripped. I went to the moon and all I brought back was this shitty t-shirt. You know, that's what we should start selling. We should start selling moon cheese, which I'm sure is already a product. That's how I know this. If moon cheese was smart, they would make a partnership with some crypto company and allow you to buy their moon cheese of cryptos, like GhostPay. We just got some news the other day that GhostPay is enabling Gala to be used all over the country. GhostPay has officially partnered with LFG Incorporated to buy anything on the internet with the Gala token directly. Amazon USA, Canada, and UK are currently supported. No KYC, no sign up. Find your product and check out hassle-free with Gala. So it looks like this is almost a wallet integration for Web 2, and you could use Gala. I like the sounds of that a lot, okay? So I think Gala is going to be here in 5 to 10 years. It's so much more than just a video game company. They also have a free version of Netflix and a free version of Spotify. Do they have as much content as Spotify or Netflix? No, they don't, okay? They're new. How long has Netflix been around? When Netflix first came around, people were skeptical that it would overtake Blockbuster. When Amazon first came around, people literally said it would never replace Barnes & Noble or never eclipse Barnes & Noble. So you have to be able to have some vision here, okay? You have to be able to have some vision. And here you see the power. DeEEP Network was created by the nerd node guys. The nerd node guys are who you call when you want your nodes to work as an enterprise crypto company. If you build a crypto and you want to have your own node network and you want that node network to work, who are you going to call? DeEEP Network. In all seriousness, you're going to call the DeEEP Network. The guys from DeEEP Network won 2 Gala hackathons in a row and then went out and created their own blockchain, the DeEEP Network. So here they are partnering with Playbowl Games. I don't know if the DeEEP Network guys built this node or if they just helped consult on it or what, but I think it's powerful that another company is now entangled with Nerd Node in the DeEEP Network. It could be that 10 years from now, these DeEEPin projects are all running on the DeEEP Network. The DeEEP Network is going to be the backbone of DeEEPin products in crypto. I'm saying it here first. Okay? It is. This guy, Manhattan Jetty, says, absolutely love my nerd node. It's truly a plug and play. Just connect it and you're all set. Easiest setup ever done. That was what happened to me too. When I got my Helium miner, there was a setup process. And then eventually they hit me up and said I had to move apps and migrate. Oh, there's nothing more I hate in crypto than when somebody tells me I have to do something. And then if you don't do it, you lose your money and they tell you you're too late because you stepped in 4 months late. Like, what are you talking about, dude? This is crypto. This is supposed to be like, a place you could fucking have a coma and wake up 10 years later and say, what's the price of my XRP at? Then you enter your private keys and you get your money and go. This isn't the place where you have to be constantly checking it. People got to look in the mirror, man. Your token's not going to make it if you're asking that much of people. So yeah, I actually have another Helium miner that's just not even set up. Again, I had to move it from somebody's house and it's hard to get it reset. And the boxes were released by third-party companies. DeEEP Network's doing it themselves. It's a DeEEP Network box. You're not going to find a Bobcat miner on the DeEEP Network. Here's what Metaflora says about it. This is an amazing unseen piece of tech. Imagine getting a little box home, like a Wi-Fi router, and you plug it into the internet and electricity. Now you're running a whole DeEEP network with many node workloads on it, including Metaflora's workload. It's hard to wrap your head around. You plug in this box. You plug in the DeEEP network box at your house. And yeah, you're going to be earning their token, the DeEEP network token. But you're also going to be getting a piece of the workload in which you're supporting. So if your DeEEP network box is being used to run all these nodes off of your internet at your house, you're going to be getting a cut of that as a provider for your bandwidth. That's powerful shit, man. So then the question is just, hey, how big is the network going to be? Oh, if you're running nodes, you should run them on Nerd Node because it's going to be powered by the DeEEP network. Fund your own bags. Don't FUD your own bags like we saw earlier about Algorand and FLR. Instead, fund your own bags. All right? They pulled the liquidity from OSMI on Uniswap. You can still buy and sell OSMI on Mexi. And look at that. OSMI is actually going up now. Now that there's no liquidity on Uniswap and it's not as easy for people to just go and sell, the token price is going up. But if you look at what happened yesterday, something really interesting happened. Look at that. Oh my God. So because there's very little liquidity, somebody went in and sold a bunch of OSMI on Mexi and it sent the price down all the way to 0.5 of 1 penny. Somebody went in there and scooped it all back up. That's an opportunity. So OSMI, before this madness all happened, it had a market cap of 20 million and it held there for a few months. Well, now let's see what the market cap is. 4 million. That's an easy times 5, friends. Okay? It's going to go back to where it was. It's going to do way better than that, actually. That's just where it came out at. It came out somewhere and it's going to go through some dips. It's going to see some highs and some lows. But that's all just finding itself and in growth. You look at an XRP, you look at a Bitcoin, you look at an ETH. It took time. You weren't just here for 1 year and you got lucky. If you were here back in 2012, no, you were a maniac if you were buying Bitcoin in 2012. Even all the way up to 2015, you were a maniac. Even now, people think Michael Saylor's a maniac. I think Michael Saylor's a maniac. I don't think Bitcoin's the orange dwarf he says it is. I think that there are better plays in the crypto market, man. I really do. I'm a fan of Gala Games ecosystem. I'm a fan of everything that comes with that. I'm a fan of the DeEEP network. I think $1,100 on the DeEEP network is going to provide rewards for a lifetime versus $1,100 in Bitcoin. And then you're going to get dwarfed. You'll be the Bitcoin dwarf. How about that? Go put your last $1,100 on Bitcoin. I'll send you a shirt that says, I'm a Bitcoin dwarf. You're not a whale, friend. You're a dwarf. I'm just comparing size of bags. And I'm using an analogy. And you know, I'm just a human being, man. I'm just a human being trying my best. I still recommend OSMI nodes. Dude, Mexi is easy. It's just like Bitrue. You just gotta get yourself a VPN and say you're in Japan. No KYC, you can withdraw 2 Bitcoin a day. So go use it. Go mine yourself some OSMI and then do what you gotta do on Mexi. Or don't. Don't fund your bags, man. Fund your bags. Buy some shit. Don't sell. Buy. That's where I'm at today. It's Friday. I'm feeling good. It's going to be a sideways weekend, I think. You know, I think we're going to come back in here Monday morning and everything will be the same. But that's okay. You know what? Sometimes that's good. In crypto, a lot of the times it's boring and depressing. You want things to happen. You want it to be fast. You heard this was the Wild West. You heard stocks were boring. And you come into crypto and it's down 90% forever and there's no liquidity and no one's talking about it. And you're like, whoa, dude, what's going on here? Keep your faith. Know why you came. You came to create something for yourself. You came to create generational wealth. You came to escape the 9 to 5. You came to hit a lottery on a low scale. Whatever you came for. You came to learn. You came for passive income. You came for fun. You came for NFTs. Maybe you came for top-notch memes. All right? And I'm sorry I haven't been following through with the top-notch memes. I'm not the meme generator I thought I was. All right? I just make these shitty videos where I rant on YouTube. And I think they're getting better. If you go watch my first video, which is still up, it was pretty bad. I didn't have a mic. I was trying to find my cadence. I didn't know how my voice would sound. I was unconfident, you know. And I think it's getting better. We're 1 year into the channel. I'm still having fun. I'm still covering crypto. I'm learning about cryptos. I like to learn about cryptos. And this keeps me in the hunt, all right? Yesterday, I covered ARCblock ABT for the first time. I love covering the VOI network and ALGO. These are new assets I learned about at ETH Denver. Of course, I knew about ALGO, but I never took a deep dive on it, all right? And ALGO is out there. It's a great asset. The VOI network's out there. It's a great asset. I love the Gala ecosystem. Gala Film, Gala Music, Gala Games. And then all the assets that are building on top of Gala Chain. Magneto HR, Metaflora, OSMI AI, Tipped Crypto, the Morphsters, NFT Harbor. Gala Games is about to get a gambling license. We'll see what comes out of that, you know? I don't want to just be gambling all the time, man. You get some money, you take it out, leave the casino, go back to your wife and kids, stop being a fucking degenerate, okay? If you've been here 5, 6, 7 years and you haven't made any money yet, I don't know, man. At least look yourself in the mirror and say, what have I done wrong? All right? Depending on what cycle number this is for you, if this is your 3rd cycle, you should be ready right now to make money. If this is your 1st cycle, all right, we'll give you a little leeway. If this is your 2nd cycle, we'll give you a little bit less leeway. If this is your 3rd cycle, I pray you're in the green and you're just doing well in life. Or else maybe you need some help with this shit. And I know some people who do. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's something wrong with not admitting that it is you. Okay? You gotta be able to look yourself in the mirror. I've gotten burned a bunch of times in this crypto shit, man. I'll make a video sometime just talking about the burns. I've also had some great hits. And the hits have always outweighed the burns. It's kept me going. It's kept me good. If I would have lost all my money, I don't know if I would be here. Maybe at this point, if I lost all my money, I'd be resilient because I've already been here for 7 years. But they got them out of the position, man. I'm grateful every day that I'm just here. I'm grateful right now to be breathing, all right? We're lucky to be alive, man. There are countries that don't even let you play crypto. In India, you can't even own crypto. There's no on or off ramps. I had some buddies doing some dev work. I said, let me send you some XRP. They said, dude, it's meaningless to us. We can't even own it. At least we get to play the game. Zach with Web3 Reviews. Thank you for being with us. Keep playing the game. Until next time.